if we have to talk about white culture, we have to talk about its genesis.
Yeah.
How it's been used, how it, not everyone was accepted as part of white culture. The Irish at one point were absolutely not part of
Italians,
that.
exactly.
And how was it used? LBJ talked about it. I think LBJ did a really great job talking about it, and we've seen it in policy in various forms in policy, not just the administration's trying to shape policy, but the organic growth of a lot of those policies. And when you take a look at what's gone on in pop culture to reinforce that, in culture specifically to reinforce that, us as a society have made a very conscious decision, and it is conscious. We made a very conscious decision, which is usually dictated by the majority. It happens globally, but it is dictated usually by the majority on what they value. And even when you start talking about things like self-interest or racism itself isn't a byproduct of bad education, hate, love, blah, blah, blah. It tends to be all around self-interest. And so when you start looking at white culture, right, the reason that white culture and white supremacy go hand in hand is because it continuously and will always reaffirm itself because of the majority's self-interest. Always going to be the case. When I go around the world, when I go around the planet, when I travel, I see the same thing. So yes, it is very unique to America, the way that America has adopted and contextualized it. But when you go outside of it, you see the same kind of dynamics. You see it in Israel, you see it in the UK, you see it in France. You still have that hierarchy or that stratification that you're always going to see in society. And it's funny because I get to talk to I get to talk to people and they a lot of times they'll dismiss my education because they just don't know it. Yeah. And they want to have this conversation. They want to have this conversation about race and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's great. Here's a library that you need to ingest real quick before we have that. Because America doesn't like science. They don't. America does not like science. They don't like math. But you start talking about race, everyone's a fucking sociologist all of a sudden, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So there's all this other stuff that you need to bring to the table just to have that conversation, which is why on other podcasts, it has been so explosive when I wind up talking about things like white culture, what is Black culture, and how the dynamics play, etc. It's like, okay, let's talk about it. And I bring all these stats and people are like, okay, stats. People lie with stats all the time. It's like, without the context, it doesn't matter. And did you pay enough attention to the context to understand why those stats are relevant? And the answer is always no, or usually no. I don't like saying no, but
so yeah, we're weird. We pay attention to them.
Yeah, but if you, that's probably a 30-minute conversation if you want to have that at a later date.
Oh, it would be a huge conversation, really, but.
And I think we've touched on a lot of it tonight.
Oh yeah, we have.
In just that short 4 minutes that we have there, that's plenty enough. that's quite enough, really.